King Von had a troubled past long before his rap career took off. Growing up in Chicago's South Side, he became involved in street life at a young age and was closely tied to the city's gang culture. He was arrested multiple times and spent years in and out of jail, including facing serious charges like attempted murder. At one point he was fighting a high-profile case that could have led to a long prison sentence, but he was ultimately acquitted. After beating those charges, Von shifted his focus to music with support from Lil Durk. His real-life experiences became the foundation of his lyrics, especially in songs like Crazy Story, where he detailed street scenarios with a raw, almost documentary-style delivery. That authenticity is what helped him quickly rise in the drill scene, turning a past filled with legal trouble into the blueprint for his rap career. King Von grew up on the south side of Chicago, specifically in the Parkway Gardens area, often referred to as O Block. His childhood was shaped by a tough environment, with violence and poverty being a regular part of daily life. His father, Walter E. Bennett, was largely absent during his upbringing because he was incarcerated for much of Von's early life. When Von was around 11 years old, his father was shot and killed after being released from prison. That loss had a deep impact on him and added to the instability he was already facing as a kid. Growing up without his father and surrounded by street influences, Von got involved in the streets at a young age. Despite that, people close to him often said he was smart and had leadership qualities, but his environment pulled him deeper into that lifestyle. Those early experiences later became the foundation of his music, where he vividly described the reality of his upbringing. Chicago's gang scene has a long and complicated history, shaped by segregation, poverty, and decades of street conflict. It isn't just one or two groups. There are many factions, and most of what you hear about today comes from smaller neighborhood-based crews rather than the large, organized structures of the past. Historically, some of the biggest and most influential gangs were the Gangster Disciples, Black Disciples, and Vice Lords. These groups were much more structured in the 1970s, 90s, with leadership hierarchies and even political or community influence in certain areas. Over time, especially in the 2000s and 2010s, those larger gangs fractured into smaller sets or cliques tied to specific blocks or housing projects. These sets often have their own names and rivalries, sometimes even beefing with groups that technically come from the same original gang. That's why you'll hear about neighborhood-based crews more than the original gang names in modern drill music. Areas like the South Side and West Side of Chicago are most commonly associated with gang activity. Violence is often tied to local disputes, retaliation cycles, and long-standing rivalries between these smaller groups. Social media and music, especially Chicago drill, have also played a role in making these conflicts more visible to the public.
Why your gay ass on my live, dude? Don't you got it?
My man's back there. See my man's back there, gangster. My man don't say fuck Harvey.
We out here smoking Harvey.
Yeah. What? Game numbers. Yeah. Game. What?
Those ain't 50 Cent right there. Those ain't 50 Cent.
Ooh. Out here bogus and bulky. Ooh, they bogus. Ooh.
Squat. Yeah. Boss Jada, look, bitch. Hello. Yeah. King Baller, bitch. Shout out King Baller, man. Squat.
It's important to understand that while gangs are a part of Chicago's history, they don't represent the entire city. Chicago is also known for its culture, food, sports, and strong communities. In this video I will only focus on Black Disciples and Gangster Disciples. Shondale Gregory, better known as Tuka, was also killed in 2011. He was from a different neighborhood and associated with a rival group. His death also became highly talked about, especially as his name was repeatedly mentioned in songs, which added fuel to ongoing tensions. Shortly after, O.D. Perry was a member of a set in Parkway Gardens, often called O Block. He was shot and killed in 2011. His death was a major loss for people in his area, and his name later became widely known in Chicago drill culture. with his block even being nicknamed after him. Both deaths happened within an already active environment of conflict between rival sets. Instead of starting a war from scratch, they intensified an existing back-and-forth cycle of violence and retaliation that had been building for years. Social media and drill music later amplified these rivalries, bringing local conflicts into a global spotlight. King Von became one of the top shooters for the Black Disciples gang. King Von, the man who was arrested 31 times, according to a post on Reddit, King Von was alive for 9,586 days. He was in jail or prison for 2,192 of them, 23% of his life and 73% of his adult life. King Von was first jailed around August 2010 at age 16 for armed robbery. He was arrested on August 11th, shortly after his 17th birthday, which initiated a long history of legal issues. He was later arrested for unlawful possession of a firearm in January 2011 and spent 15 months in detention. In April 2014, Von was questioned by police as a person of interest in the fatal shooting of 17-year-old Gangster Disciples member Chiraq K.I. Barnes, but the police were unable to charge him due to inconsistencies in witness statements. In 2021, unsealed documents released by the Chicago Police Department named Von as Barnes' killer. A 2016 study found that Barnes utilized the social media platform Twitter, known as X since 2023, often posting over 27,000 tweets from 2011 until April 2014. On April 11, 2014, Barnes tweeted a photo of herself and her friends on the porch of a home in the Woodlawn neighborhood. At around 3:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time, hours after tweeting the photo, K.I. was shot on South Eberhart Avenue in the Woodlawn neighborhood, blocks away from the location where she had taken the tweeted photo and 3 blocks from where she had lived. She was pronounced dead at a hospital by the Cook County Medical Examiner at 5:43 p.m. Central Daylight Time, due to bullet wounds in her jaw, chest, and neck areas. The tweet had posted of her location may have been a contributing factor in her. On July 24, 2014, Von was arrested in connection with a shooting in May 2014, resulting in the death of Malcolm Stuckey and the injury of 2 other men. Von was charged with 1 count of first-degree murder and 2 counts of attempted murder. The shooting took place in Englewood, and Wade attended the birthday party, but left when they saw someone from a rival gang. They allegedly returned an hour later and fired on the crowd. Stuckey and 2 friends were on the porch. The 2 gunmen opened fire, striking a 24-year-old man in the foot and a 23-year-old man in the head and body as they tried to get away. Stuckey, hit by several bullets, including one that struck him below the right ear, was declared dead on the scene. Von was found not guilty in December 2017. King Von and James T. Roy Johnson became inseparable twins and the primary protectors of their circle. T. Roy was the heart of their reputation, staying dedicated to the block while Von was away in the legal system from 2014 to 2017. However, on Valentine's Day 2017, T. Roy lost his life in a violent incident at a local store. This tragedy devastated Von, who returned home months later with a mission to make his brother's name legendary. That is when Get Back Gang was created. King Von would add more bodies to his name during 2017 up until his death. This war has claimed over 60 rappers from 2012 until now, with King Von, according to online documentaries, might have killed more than 8 people, even though he was always locked up most of his times. In May 2019, Von and Lil Durk were arrested in connection with a shooting in Atlanta. Von and his co-defendant Durk appeared before a judge in a Fulton County courtroom for a probable cause hearing. Prosecutors claimed that the 2 rappers robbed and shot Alexander Witherspoon outside a popular drive-in on February 5. After weeks in jail, Durk was released on a $250,000 bond, while Von was released on a $300,000 bond. The charges against Durk were dropped in October 2022.
That's right. We're outside APD headquarters now, as you said, and his lawyer says Lil Durk is still in the Fulton County Jail as his legal team works to get a bond set. But before he surrendered, we were with him in his lawyer's office. You're about to surrender as we speak.
Yeah.
How come?
Because I have nothing to hide. Like, I have nothing to run from.
A rapper's ride. Soon after we spoke, Dirk Banks, a.k.a. the performer Lil Durk, emerged from his lawyer's space and headed toward an SUV. Soon after that, he stepped out in front of the Fulton County Jail. One of his lawyers says he was swiftly taken into custody there, having swiftly flown back to Atlanta after he found out he was wanted.
We found out we had a warrant. He was actually on tour. Once I heard, I immediately came back.
He's willing to turn himself in and take care of what he needs to take care of.
We immediately canceled the tour.
He's got a multi-million-dollar salary, music career going.
Did you do it? Did you shoot this man? Did you commit the other crimes of which you're accused?
No.
Warrants involving an incident in February on North Avenue involved charges including criminal attempt to commit murder and aggravated assault. One document indicates an Atlanta police investigator said to the best of his knowledge, Banks was employed or associated with a criminal street gang to conduct or participate in gang activity, shooting at the victim while co-defendants shot and robbed him.
Is he involved in a gang?
No.
Banks indicated his lawyer told him not to discuss the specific facts of the case, but he confirmed what his attorney Manny Aurora said, that as a youth, Banks was drawn into the gang life that surrounded him in Chicago, but that's not who he is today.
I had a bad background, just growing up as a child, about father being incarcerated for 25 years, 26 years. So I had a rough past, but like me moving to Atlanta, I just thought that just changed my whole identity of thinking.
In January 2023, after Vaughn's death, the FBI declassified a number of documents showing that a confidential informant alleged that Vaughn initially placed a $50,000 hit on FBG Duck before raising the price to $100,000. Duck was murdered in the Gold Coast area of Chicago in August 2020. 5 O Block members were later arrested and found guilty of this murder. On October 9, 2024, it was reported that Vaughn's estate, along with both Dirk and OTF Records, were named in a wrongful death lawsuit by the estate and family of Duck. The lawsuit and its attorneys claimed that Dirk and his OTF Records imprint, of which Vaughn was a signee, were profiting off of Duck's death through negligence and misconduct.
She should be ashamed of herself.
Sheena Weekly is talking about Mayor Laurie Lightfoot, saying these comments were uncalled for.
My understanding is that this was an individual who fancies himself as a rapper, but is also a member of a gang. There's been an ongoing conflict between his gang and another.
Weekly says her son was a rapper.
Also known to the music industry as FBG Duck.
But was not in a gang.
Carlton Weekly did not have a criminal record.
This family has been ripped apart by gun violence before.
In 2017, I lost my cousin and my oldest son at the same time. Him and my cousin were ambushed and shot dead on the street.
With 2 sons now lost to gun violence, all she wants is peace.
That's his mother.
After fellow rapper Lil Durk signed King Von to his Only the Family label, Von released his single Crazy Story on December 6, 2018, and it became his breakout single. This was a chance for Von to turn his life around. He had beaten the odds against him. He was now a superstar, but King Von kept on getting into trouble, shooting, robbing people and putting out hits while he was a superstar. Now every move he did people noticed. King Von was a rapper for only 2 years, going on tours, performing in different clubs. His name was not only banging in Chicago but across America. But unfortunately his luck ran out on November 6, 2020. King Von was involved in an altercation in a downtown Atlanta nightclub that took place around 3:20 a.m. between 2 groups of men, one of them associated with rapper Quando Rondo. The dispute quickly resulted in a shootout, which 2 police officers attempted to break up with additional gunfire. Bennett was subsequently transported to a hospital in critical condition and died later that day. King Von left behind a legacy that's still heavily discussed in hip-hop today. From his rise out of Chicago's drill scene to becoming one of the most talked about storytellers of his generation, his music captured the reality of the environment he came from in a way that connected with fans worldwide. Even though his life was cut short in 2020, his influence continues through his music, his impact on drill culture, and the new wave of artists he helped inspire. His story is often seen as a reminder of how quickly success and street life can collide in hip-hop.